Dear student, welcome in this class. Today we will discuss about factors leading to post-harvest losses. Here we will be aware about the all responsible factors which are causing post-harvest losses in horticultural produce. So the previous class lecture where we have discussed about various kind of losses: qualitative loss, quantitative loss, wastage of food. These three major contributing factors are responsible for post-harvest losses in horticultural crops. The perishable nature of horticultural crops make the horticultural produce sensitive to the various type of damage during improper handling or through biodeterioration by microbes, insects, rodents, and birds. The major factors can be categorized into two different groups: primary factors and secondary factors. The primary factors will include those losses or those factors which are adhered with the each and every step of the post-harvest management. It is at the stage of harvesting or during transportation or marketing. At all the different stages, these kind of factors will be responsible for the losses in horticultural produce. While the secondary factors are those factors which are specific to the particular stage. Either it is harvesting, or at the time of threshing, or at the time of storage, or during the shipments, or during the marketing. So these are confined to a particular stage. So coming to the first, primary factors. The major loss is due to the mechanical injury, mechanical damages which may occur due to improper harvesting practice, due to improper packaging resulting the damage due to transportation shock. So this kind of factors are primarily related to the handling process. The other primary factor is microbial action. Microbial infection can occur at any stage wherever there is congenial situations for the development of microbes. So it may occur at any time: transportation, storage, consumption, marketing, all this. The environmental factors, specifically temperature and humidity, at the time of harvesting or at the time of transportation, or storage at any stage directly affects the shelf life of horticultural produce. A high temperature may accelerate the respiration rate, resulting the reduction in the shelf life. High humidity may result in the greater greater influence of the moisture over the horticultural produce, resulting in providing a congenial situation for the infection by the microbes. So these primary factors are bringing a bigger loss during the all phase of post-harvest management. Among the secondary factors, the inadequate or improper harvesting method brings the damage injury to the horticultural produce, resulting reduction in shelf life. In the non-horticultural produce where threshing is required, this is also a factor. The poor threshing may result in the damage, may result in the loss of some grains with the straw. The inadequate or lack of storage facility is also responsible for the reduced shelf life of the horticultural produce. It may also lead to spoilage of the horticultural produce due to unavailability of storage facility. The longer duration of shipment or longer duration of transportation will also be problematic, as during this phase, if proper cold chain system is not available, it is going to reduce the shelf life of horticultural produce. Longer distribution period will also need to have a proper storage facility so that the horticultural produce can be kept for longer period of time. Lack of market access and policies. The market availability and government policies are also very important in terms of proper marketing, proper selling of the horticultural produce on the right time so that there will be lesser post-harvest loss. The poor management, poor marketing may lead to the greater loss to the horticultural produce. On the basis of various stages of post-harvesting, the post-harvest losses may be categorized into direct or indirect loss, where the horticultural produce are either be damaged, spoiled, or may be kept unused for longer period of time, resulting direct and indirect loss. The physiological loss in weight is also another factor, where high temperature, low humidity may result in the loss of moisture from the horticultural produce through the transpiration. The loss of food as unused due to unplanned purchasing or marketing may also be responsible for the post-harvest loss. Sometimes seeds are being lost due to the poor viability. Any kind of losses which results in the economic loss may be considered as commercial loss. Suppose a farmer has grown cauliflower crop late, while the other farmer has grown the cauliflower at the early stage when the market, and so the harvest was marketed at the time when there was very less availability of cauliflower. So obviously the person who has grown late, or the farmer who has grown late, will catch the market late when there is a bulk of availability of cauliflower in the market, so lower price is there. So such farmers are going to have a commercial loss, and it is irreducible in nature. So there are various causes at the different stages which are responsible for bigger damage of the crops after harvesting. So the factors at harvesting may be poor production practice or climatic condition, like rainfall will reduce the quality of the harvested crop because of the moist atmosphere. During storage also, attack of insects, molds, rodents, deterioration or spoilage, shrinkage due to moisture loss are several factors which occurs at the time of storage. High humidity may lead to infection, low humidity may lead to water loss. Improper handling during the storage is also another factor. The temperature during the storage is important, as it is directly related to respiration of the fruits or horticulture produce. During the processing also, there may be removal of damaged portion, discarding the substandard products. Sometimes during sensory analysis, it can be rejected also, like visual rejection. Sometimes poor or failure in proper packaging may result in wastage and shrinkage as well. During the packaging, the proper packaging is required. If it is poor, obviously the horticultural produce will lose the shelf life. Transportation loss due to transportation shock is another factor. Sometimes it may take longer time to reach at the marketplace, resulting in the greater loss in the horticultural produce. Marketing also is very important factor, as it provides a platform to the buyer and seller of the horticultural produce. If this is improper, if this is not properly supervised, obviously it is going to affect the market value of the produce. Poor inventory availability, packaging materials, storage materials are also related to the marketing. At the time of consumption, leftover materials, unplanned purchasing, poor portioning, or bulk purchases are another important factors leading to greater loss in the horticultural produce. Sometimes infrequent market visit by the buyer is also responsible for bulk purchasing at one time, which may result in the loss of the horticultural produce at home. So we have already discussed these factors which are related to the harvesting. Here we are going to discuss in different contexts whether the factor is related to the horticulture produce, that may be called as internal factors, or it may be affected by some regions which is not related to the horticulture produce as external factors. So in terms of internal factors, harvesting is one of the important factor, and we have discussed that what kind of different harvesting problems are there, like the time of harvesting, harvesting, whether at the time of harvesting, inadequate or improper harvesting. Along with that, the maturity index, determining the right time of maturity, is also important factor. Pre-cooling, which is generally ignored by the farmers, are another factors, as such kind of loss is due to the high cost or lack of availability of pre-cooling facilities. The farmers are not properly trained with the pre-cooling practices, and the farmers are not aware about the cost benefit of the pre-cooling technology. So these sometimes are important, as the pre-cooling facility provides the lowering of field heat in the horticultural produce. So if such field heats will not be removed, obviously shelf life is going to be decreased. The third factor is transportation, which is one of the important challenge with the horticultural produce, as it takes sometimes longer distance and longer time because of the lack of transportation infrastructure in terms of roads, sometimes bridges. So even additional thing is the lack of refrigerated transport system is also important factor. In terms of storage, the long-term storage needs to be properly hygienic, properly monitored. It should have a proper facilities so that the horticultural produce can be stored for longer duration of time, like cold storage for the potato. In closed storage, cleanliness is important. Temperature and humidity inside the closed structure is equally important, as it is going to decide the shelf life of the crop or horticultural produce. Important grading is also needs to be followed in the standard format, as the lack of grading may lead to the mixing of some improper horticultural produce, reducing the marketing value and so causing the commercial loss. Packaging and labeling is another important factor, as the proper packaging and labeling will help the person or the or resulting the transportation or involved in the transportation, or the vendors who are carrying the horticulture produce, because this proper packaging and labeling will indicate about the nature of the crops or produce as well. It will give the idea of date of packaging and labeling, so that the time period for the marketing will also be planned. Secondary processing is another cause of post-harvest loss, because we are having limited availability of suitable varieties for processing, inadequate and uh, poor processing technology. In addition to this, lack of basic infrastructure, advancement in the technology, innovation in the technology are another important factors related to the secondary processing of the horticultural produce. The biological causes of deterioration includes vigorous respiration rate, ethylene production, and axon in the harvested produce. It also results in rate of compositional change, which is associated with color, texture, and flavor, nutritional values, sometimes physiological disorders like chilling injury, freezing injury, pathological breakdown like botrytis are related to the post-harvest loss in horticulture. Microbial attacks during this storage period is another important things to be taken care, as due to improper storage facility there is greater chance of occurrence of fungi, bacteria causing the damage, spoilage of the horticulture produce. The fungus produce toxins which are called as mycotoxins, which may reduce the quality of food and nutritional value as well. The chemical changes during the storage after post harvest is also responsible for the reduction in the quality, flavor, texture, and nutritional value, like Maillard reactions, which results in browning and discoloration of dry fruits. The existence of pesticides, other chemicals in the harvested produce is also one of the important factor behind this. The external factors which are related to outside the food supply chain are also responsible for post-harvest loss. Among that, temperature, humidity, and altitudes and time are important one. So at higher altitude there will be low temperature, so greater shelf life. So the time of harvesting or time of storage is another factor. We have already discussed about the temperature and humidity related to the storage of the horticultural produce. So fresh horticultural products have high moisture content and so need to be stored under the conditions of high relative moisture, other than the onions and garlic, which generally is stored under dry condition. The dried and dehydrated products needs to be stored under the condition of low relative humidity to avoid the absorption of moisture by the produce. In addition to the environment, socio-economic factor related to the country is another factor regarding the post-harvest loss. Like urbanization has made the availability of horticulture produce from the long distance, which needs the proper and efficient storage facility or food supply chain. In the developed countries, they are having extensive and effective cold chain system, ensuring prolonged product shelf life. They are having sophisticated management and new technology which make this post-harvest management more easier and efficient. They in such country there is a growing consumers awareness regarding the quality of the foods, and they do not tolerate the substandard foods. They do not tolerate the cosmetic defects like blemishes, misshapen fruits, produce which are not going to attract the consumers. And so these all are responsible for the rejection of the horticulture produce. However, in less developed country, the main cause of loss is the biological spoilage because of the improper storage facility. Many technological and practices have been mentioned here which are responsible to reduce the post-harvest losses, which may include the harvest of the crop at the correct maturity, proper sanitization of water used for the pre-cooling at the time of harvesting also. There is good quality irrigation water that should be needed, the proper temperature availability, the proper care for the harvested produce and its injury, where the food products with injury or mechanical injury should be discarded to prevent the entry of pathogen or microorganisms. The harvested produce should be properly packed in the as per the quality standard. The harvesting should be done at the cooler time for the perishable products, and from there it should be directly transferred to the storage. The dried grains should be properly packed with low moisture grains. There is a need of proper sanitization, ventilation, cleaning at the time of transportation. This is the possible post-harvest chain for perishable products, starting from harvesting to the marketing.